Hello, everybody, and welcome to Button Mashed on WCRD 91.3 FM, the Pulse of Ball State. We are the best and only gaming show on WCRD, and I am Lucas Schmidt as always, and with me...
Joseph Knoop here at the helm on this soundboard. Yeah, of course we're the best. We're the only one. We're expanding. I love it. We're just getting more powerful.
You love it. Do you want some more of it? So yes.
I'm leaving. It's been a long
Would everybody
night.
else like to go ahead and introduce themselves?
Go
Julia,
ahead.
you can start.
All right.
Hey, it's Julia.
Hi, I'm Julia.
It's Elizabeth.
And I'm Travis.
Wow. Just throwing the mic to the other side of the room. We need that
We
snowball.
only have so many.
We need that snowball mic. Hello, folks. Another episode of Button Mash on WCRD 91.3 FM, the Pulse of Ball State. Hey, check out their new app. What?
It's not even new anymore.
Check out their app.
Yeah.
Check out the...
Check out the cool app.
Hey, how have you all been? I know we're all kind of like dead here with midterms week here at Ball State University's fine radio station, but...
Break is just around the corner.
That yawn was a pretty good
Literally around the
synopsis.
corner.
Oh yeah, like tomorrow, like 11 o'clock tomorrow, I'm out of here.
1 o'clock, I hate you.
1 o'clock, I'll kill you.
1 o'clock as well.
I'm staying till Saturday. I don't know about you guys.
I'm getting
I'm
picked up
coming
Saturday.
back Monday, so.
My mom is bringing me to a party for her friend, and she said that there will be college girls there. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I can deal with that. Yeah.
Your mom still hooks you up?
My mom is a saint. Don't you
Aw.
dare put her down.
Does she like comb your hair and stuff before you're out the door? Oh, honey, don't worry.
What hair?
Pack a brown lunch.
For those of you who can't see, what hair?
I don't know.
There is
Look
hair.
up
It's
on
just
Facebook.
Maybe back hair?
you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm not that old.
Chewbacca.
Do it into the microphone.
All right, folks, we've got a great round of news for you today. We're going to be focusing on, oh crap, let me pull up my list here. Of course, Jack Tretton has left Sony, Computer Entertainment of America. Guys, what do you
Was
think
that
about
the guy from the commercials? Like the funny commercials? You know
No,
what I'm talking about, right?
no. That was, what was, yeah, what, I remember
Shows how much I know.
he actually left because I think he made some, like, inappropriate comments or something, and they, like, wanted to distance themselves from said comments.
Wait, this was Jack Tretton or
No,
the funny guy?
The funny guy.
Ah.
The
Yeah,
guy's
he
name I can't
tweeted
remember.
Something inappropriate.
Yeah. Travis,
That
talk into the
happens.
mic.
I think he tweeted something inappropriate.
All right, so Jack Tretton, the head of Sony Computer Entertainment in America, has confirmed that he will leave the post as of March 31st. Tretton has been with SCEA since 1995 when it launched. Quote, working at working at SCEA for the past 19 years has been the most rewarding experience of my career, he said. Although I will deeply miss the talented team at SCEA and the passion demonstrated every day by our fans, I'm very excited about starting the next chapter of my career. I want to thank the employees, partners, and customers for their tireless commitment to the PlayStation brand, and of course to our fans who have pushed us to new heights of innovation and entertainment over the past 2 decades. I leave PlayStation in a position of considerable strength, and the future will only get brighter for PlayStation Nation.
Gosh, that is every resignation letter ever.
Ever.
In the history
All
of
those busts.
forever.
It was so vague. Like, what does he mean by
It's
the next step in
we've
his
put
career?
Jack Tretton up on a pedestal, and I'm guilty of this too, because after the E3 2013 press conference, and he's like, and it's $400, and it doesn't come with
Oh, yeah.
stupid Connect, and everyone's like, oh, it doesn't suck, but we
Remind me of a seal.
we put him up on this pedestal, and we've got to realize that he is still a businessman. There's nothing we can do to change that. He's a guy who's good with the business side of he probably hasn't even touched the like art side of it. He's just good at promoting it within the money district,
The sad thing about that is people are still going to keep him on that pedestal. And then when the new guy comes in as CEO and something that might go wrong or something that might bad that happens, they're going to blame it completely on him, saying, oh, that's what happens when the other guy's gone.
That's true, yeah. When your successor was so prolific, yeah.
They're going to have a lot of pressure on them.
The successor actually will be the current Sony Network Entertainment International Executive Vice President. Try putting that on the plaque.
What a title.
And CEO Sean Layden. So we'll have to see exactly where that goes. Yeah, I really don't think that this will affect Sony's output with the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Now and all the features they've got.
Well, they're already winning.
Even by numbers as well.
What are Xbox One sales? Does anybody know? Because I know PS4 just hit 6 million.
Let's Google that real quick.
Google.
But
I know, and the PS4
really
launching in Japan, I think sold what, like 400 and something thousand.
Okay, so PS4 has sold 6 million consoles, and 13.7 million games, excuse me. And the Xbox One has only sold 4 million.
and these are worldwide numbers, I would imagine.
Yes.
Yep.
So far, yeah.
Yeah.
But even I think the PlayStation had a slow launch in Japan, which is where it's powerhouse. So that's interesting to
It
know.
only sold 370,000 units in Japan in the first week.
Jeez.
Well, I've actually heard that Sony's Japan chapter, or their
Market.
Japan market, it's actually on a downhill trend. I've heard that it's actually not doing so well over there, which is why it was released in America first.
You know, I can see that though, because they've started to focus more on indie games and Western developers. Even with their E3 2013 press conference, they touted this idea of we're making a specifically for games console, and we've asked all these developers up here for their input. And you didn't really see any prominent Eastern developers. You saw a lot of people like the guy who made Knack or Crash Bandicoot. He was obviously one of the higher ups there who helped design the process. So they didn't really ask for input from an Eastern market, it looked like.
Real
See,
quick.
Going
ahead.
back to the whole Jack Tretton thing, maybe that was part of the reason why he left Sony, was because he saw that maybe it was in a downhill trend, and he was like, okay, well, now might be my time to get out while I'm on top. Head to a market that might not be as downhill as that.
Real quick, am I the only one who thinks of that one guy from the Three Stooges when the word knack comes out? I'm just like, knack, 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 knack.
Knack, knack, knack.
That's just since day one. That's
Can you imagine
all I
like
picture.
Can you imagine Curly like shattering into
Curly.
1,000 little bits? Mo, Larry, and Curly, right? Yeah.
Yep. I don't know which one it is that I can picture their faces. Can't picture names. Wait, is there like a movie, or did that already come out?
Yep.
Yeah.
Three
Thinking
Stooges actually was pretty decent from all
Really?
accounts. I
I've
think.
never watched it, the new one.
Jim Carrey. in it.
Why are we talking about Three Stooges? All right, guys. Well, sort of Sony related as well. The lead director and writer for Uncharted 1 through 4 has been kicked out of Naughty Dog by the game director Bruce Straley and the lead director. Oh man, we gotta look up these names first. But suffice to say, Amy Hennig, who's been known for directing the efforts behind Uncharted 1 through 3 and starting on 4, she left the company just a few days ago from airtime, and no word has been given aside from a brief Sony statement, a very generic statement, if I might say. But I'm interested to know why they had to, or why they felt they had to kick her out of her own studio that she helped build. Let me hear your opinions, and then I'll give mine.
Well, real quick though, were there any details, any explanations, or was it just like,
mean,
oh, she's gone?
It was all so vague. Like, all of the statements kind of counteract each other. Like, some statements will say that she was fired, some say that she was pushed out, and then the PR representative said that she wasn't pushed out. And they're just all going back and forth on it, and I'm really kind of confused.
It's probably something we're just gonna have to wait and kind of
Yeah.
see for updates, because
For
this
more.
will be something that people are gonna pay attention to, because it's very interesting and very unexpected, I guess.
Do you think, is there a reason why she hasn't come forward and said her reason? Is she not allowed to?
Well, it was a forceful ejection,
Okay.
which means that, in my opinion, it probably means that. Just like Jack Tretton, just because you've had a long history of being a successful businessman, creative director, whatever, does not mean that you can't fall from that pedestal.
Yeah.
And if I may give an example, I was disappointed with Uncharted 3, not overall, but especially from a storytelling standpoint and from a gameplay standpoint, which is essentially what Hennig was in charge of. My greatest example, and I've told Travis, I told you this in detail earlier. The cruise ship sequence, or the shipyards plus the cruise ship sequence in Uncharted 3. Who here has played Uncharted 3?
Nope, but I've heard the story before, and I know what's coming.
Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with the gameplay.
It's just that part of this in the story, Drake is kidnapped by this like Somalian-esque pirate lord, and he breaks free of his imprisonment, and he like fights his way through a dead shipyard. and then he sneaks his way onto a stolen cruise ship that the pirates have and fights his way, pretty much all because he believes his best friend Sully is on there, and he needs to save Sully. The entire sequence is probably about an hour long. It's a very lengthy sequence. Like, it took me a good number of tries to get through, but there were absolutely zero story bits of progression in there. If you would cut out, he essentially finds out that Sully was not on the ship. The ship crashes. He wakes up having washed up on shore. If you would cut out that entire thing, the story would not have changed. And I think that that's a huge, because in interviews given before Uncharted 3 came out, they were touting this sort of idea that they came up with ideas for cool scenarios, like, oh, let's put him on a cruise ship that's like sinking, and let's put him in the jungle and do this, and then they give him reasons to be there. And that's not the worst idea in the world. I just don't think that's conducive to a strong story.
Putting the story second and putting the cool
wow
first,
factor first,
which isn't necessarily bad. It just, depends on what you're looking for. People who are more interested on the narrative of Uncharted will be upset, but those who want those awesome giant spectacles will be pleasantly surprised, I suppose. I don't know. And to this day, the only two people I know named Sully are Sully from Uncharted and Sully from Monsters, Inc.
The best Sully.
The best Sully of them all.
Well, I think that even if you look at examples of Uncharted 2, there are plenty of, that game's like twice as long as 3, it feels like at points. And almost every beat in that game has a point. And even when you're starting to feel like, okay, what am I doing here? Something happens, like the Lucas, you've played Uncharted 2, correct? No, you've never played an Uncharted, have you?
I have played bits and pieces of 2 and 3.
But there are certain story beats like where
You've never
monsters
played Mass Effect. Back off.
All right.
Back off.
Haha.
So what do you guys think? Absolutely.
I haven't played Uncharted. I don't know.
I've only played a little
yeah,
bit.
I've played very little.
The cutscenes were really long in the beginning, and I got kind of bored. Not gonna lie.
Hey, at least it wasn't Final Fantasy. Those cutscenes
Hey.
last
Yeah.
forever.
That is true.
Hey.
I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying they last forever.
Don't turn Elizabeth into a
It's
demon
magical.
and just, like, have her kill you.
I knew as soon as I was going to
She'll
say
take
that.
out her cosplay
dirty.
scissors and stab you.
Hey, those things are
Those
sharp
are
as knives.
They have to
I got
cut
some for my
fabric,
birthday.
perfectly.
Nice
They're
ones.
great. They're awesome. Invest in them if you do cosplay.
They're great for cosplay or great for stabbing?
Both.
Both. Stabbing your enemies and people who are better at cosplay.
You make your
than you are.
cosplay with the blood of your enemies.
Yes, that's how cosplay's done.
I've dyed my hair red. It's the blood of my enemies.
Do you remember when my hair
Yeah.
was red?
I do. All right, guys. So on to the next news story. Lucas, why don't you intro Watchdogs? Hi.
Yeah, it's coming out. Finally. It's about time. It's
What
supposed to
date?
come out in October, wasn't it? Or was it November? It was originally.
It was supposed to come out like the day of the PS4 launch.
Yep.
So November. Yeah, okay.
11th?
Well, now it's coming out May 27th?
27th.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
It's easy for you to remember because you're like, ooh,
3
it's
days
right after my birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know how you feel, though. Grand Theft Auto 5 came out right after my birthday, too. Or was it right before? No, it was right after. It
And
was
I'm
the day
excited
after.
because I've already got it all
So-
paid off and everything. I just need to walk in.
So
and
what
grab
did
it.
we all think of the trailer, though? We all sat around and watched it, and I liked it. I liked hearing a little more about the story.
Yeah, that was
because
all it really
they've been
revealed.
they've been suspiciously like quiet on that, and it's an Ubi game, so I'm not like overly confident in it. But
I'm mostly excited, but I was put off by 2 things in the trailer. The first one, it just seemed too much like Taken. Like, it was a weird Taken meets something
Revenge.
else. Like, it was like, oh, they took my wife.
I have a
Now I've
special
gotta
set
take
of
revenge.
apps.
Ah, look at me. I'm Liam Neeson.
Yeah, Taken,
And then,
now with apps.
The other thing was the lady hands him the phone and says, this phone can help you. Like, I thought since he was such a good hacker, I thought maybe he would be the one to create the phone.
that's true,
And
isn't
he
it?
would
Yeah.
have the
That's
power.
the
Instead,
impression
it's
I
like,
got.
See, no,
it's another unit giving him the power.
The thing that I didn't like most about that scene of her giving him the phone is the way she said it. She's like, "This phone will give you the power to crumble cities," or it was just melodramatic.
Uh-huh.
It's like, no, you're just throwing my Switch and ruining my dinner, you jerk.
But like Ubisoft has said, like, the story isn't really focused around the story. It's more what you do with the game.
which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Excuse my yawning.
They showed some more of the combat too, like the close quarter stuff, which looks okay. I mean,
It looks like they've added a lot more detail to those. I mean, if you looked at some of them, he'd take his pistol and he'd shoot a guy like 8 times in the stomach, or he'd
the
take his
belly.
blackjack and just beat the crap out of him, and you never saw that before. So I think they just took their extra, like 6-8 months, just kind of adding little stuff like that.
Yeah, I hope they
Yes.
don't.
I mean, people got high expectations for this now because if you delay a game for that long, like
Oh,
you
yeah.
better have made
that's
it pretty good.
and that's again where I have lost faith in Ubi after so many Assassin's Creeds. Even though 4 was a considerable step up from 3, I feel like this is going to be their Assassin's Creed in modern times.
Well,
And they do a great marketing job. I don't think they follow through.
a Ubisoft rep once was quoted on saying their marketing strategy is to make a new
Saturate.
IP, and then just milk the crud out of it. Basically what they've done with Assassin's Creed, just pump out a game every single year, and people will keep buying it, and they'll keep buying more of them. And then eventually at some point Assassin's Creed is going to start to falter, and they said that once that happens, that they'll kind of take it off the market for a few years, maybe 4 years or something like that, and that'll be enough time for them to come out with a new iteration that has significant changes and will be enough to draw people back in again.
You know, I think that the protagonist in this story, what was his name?
Aiden Pierce.
Aiden Pierce. I think the trailer didn't really inspire me, but I think he's going to be another Altair from Assassin's Creed 1, where it's like, does anyone remember playing that where his voice, even though he's like this, he's supposed to be this Middle Eastern assassin, he kind of sounded like a B-grade American actor.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yep.
Kind of.
hello, Rashid. My name is Altair. It's like, would you like a cheeseburger with that? But yeah, it didn't really inspire me. It's not as bad as that, I should say, but
Yeah, at least he's in the right geographical location on the planet,
Chicago,
you know?
hey, Chicago. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Our accents are not that bad. I've been told I've had like a little bit, or it's because I'll say alls, like alls of you. Do you guys want alls that? And people will be like, you're from Chicago,
You're
aren't
all
you? And
that.
I'm like, I'm not from Chicago. I'm from the area around it.
So, final news story of the night. We have another new trailer here on Bud Mash. Batman Arkham Knight has been announced. Great to hear. Rocksteady is once again at the girls look at us like, yeah, we're bowing out of
Yeah,
this
bats,
one.
man.
No.
I'm sorry.
Bruce Wayne.
Whatever. Fine.
I mean, Batman. I mean, I can't blame
No
you.
girls
Batman's just doing
allowed.
what he's always been doing, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's nothing new either.
Well, I'm glad to know
Well-
that Rocksteady is behind this one again, because Warner Brothers games absolutely mucked up the Batman Arkham Origins. They made it way too big to control, and there was just no artistic inspiration in it. The worst part, those British enemies, where they were like, "Oi, governor, we're gonna kill the Batman." What? Really?
Wow.
Wanna do that
Really?
again?
you
the-
what, mate?
Because Nolan North played the Penguin in Arkham City, and he did a really good job. But they had someone like brand new for Batman, Joker, and Penguin, and pretty much everyone else. And they got like aside from Joker, who was the same guy who did Booker DeWitt and Joel from The Last of Us. I think that they did a terrible job with that. So I am just glad to know that Rocksteady's back.
Wait, so did they get an American guy to do a British accent? Or
I have no idea. They hired
It's just
some
that bad?
no-name actor for the Batman Arkham Origins Penguin.
Oh.
That's not that uncommon. The guy who
really.
plays Rick Grimes on The Walking Dead is British, and and I mean he plays a sheriff with a southern with like a southern
A
drawl.
Georgian accent.
Yeah. And it's funny because you look at the interviews and he's just super British, and you're like, wait, what?
He also has a really weird way of speaking, though, so I wouldn't
Yeah,
say
he does,
everything's
yeah.
completely negative.
No, this
He's
is
always
his
like,
lines. Carl, Carl, Carl. And
Carl,
just yelling
what?
for his son. That is half of every episode of The Walking Dead. Yet I still keep going back for more.
So I mean, what do we think? It was all a CG trailer, but it looked like they might have been teasing some gameplay elements, and we do need to discuss these in the 2 or 3 minutes we have left. I think that we know that they've sort of teased the ability of open world Gotham City this time with the ability to ride in the Batmobile. How do we think that that'll actually
Not
affect
just
gameplay?
ride, but drive.
This is true.
And hop in
Words
and out
mean-
apparently very seamlessly.
without tripping.
Yeah.
He's got to trip on that cape sometime.
Got it one time.
Batman ain't
Haven't you
tripping.
seen The Incredibles about the capes?
No capes. No capes.
Apparently, there's a professor here who looks just like that lady. I don't remember her name. You know, when we're
Okay.
talking about the one who
Yeah.
designs the costumes.
Edna
Her
There's a
name is
professor.
Edna Mode.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Edna, I remember her.
So, any final thoughts on Batman Arkham Knight before we get out of here,
I'm
guys?
super excited for Harley Quinn.
This is true. Looks like the main villains in this one would be Harley Quinn, the Penguin, and Two-Face, who were Two-Face was featured for like 5 hot seconds in City, and then sort of left to hang. Penguin had like a decent amount in Origins, but again, it was all what governor. So I'm interested to see where this goes. They have sort of changed up the art style a little bit. It's a little more modern rather than gothic.
I was gonna say Harley Quinn's face, like something about it.
It's totally changed. It's totally changed.
Different. Like I couldn't put my finger on it.
It's changed. It totally. Like her face doesn't even look like Harley Quinn anymore. But other than the makeup, I think. Because I mean, you look at her from Origins, like, hey, Mr. J, Batman, you big meanie, and now it's looking
That's
like
great.
she looks like a blonde cheerleader. Which I mean, hey, isn't.
I mean, for all of the Arkham games, she kind of has. She hasn't really
It's
been
true.
like
It's true.
the classic Harley Quinn. Yeah. Nice rap, right?
Nice rap, right? Yeah.
I still think Rocksteady just needs to get off Batman and go make a
They
Spider-Man
they
game.
had the rumors of them working on a Silver Age Batman with the Bam
Oh,
Kip
yeah.
Zao kind of
I
style,
remember hearing about that.
and that would be amazing in like an open world game. But
Something new.
we'll have to see.
And they could
Sounds
make
really
it
good.
funny. They could take the
They totally
awesome
could.
combat of the Batman games and inject humor.
All right,
That'd be
Lucas, tell them where they can find us on the interwebs and about us a little bit while I queue up some Toonskis.
I love Toon Skis. But I also love Internet Skis. And we are all over the Internet Skis. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube. We're on Blogger. You can find us at... Well, we've changed everything to Byte now because we're kind of broadening from away from video games, kind of just into general comic books, as you saw with the Gray Carter and Cory Rydell, or rather, heard. This is
Which you can
radio.
hear in a few minutes if you're listening on WCRD or on the YouTube video, of course.
Yep. And you can find us online at Byte BSU. Has everything been changed from Button
Everything's been
Mash?
changed,
Everything's been changed.
essentially.
We are now Byte
YouTube is
BSU.
Button Mash BSU still, but we're working on that because Google sucks.
No, they don't. They're actually pretty awesome.
No, they suck.
But they can't suck.
All right, guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Sorry.
Welcome back to Button Mash on WCRD 91.3 FM, the Pulse of Ball State. I'm here once again with Gray Carter and Cory Rydell, the excellent artist behind Critical Miss and now Bad Dad, a new comic out on bumrushcomics.com. Hey, Gray and Cory, how's it going?
Really well, thank you.
Yeah, it's going great.
Cory, I think the most important question I need to ask here is, do you still have hands? Because you seem to be like just a masochist at this point with how much content you're putting out.
Yeah, it actually got like really, really iffy because we have deadlines at the end of the month with the new comic. So I'm kind of a procrastinator, and that leads to like a week straight of like 16-hour days where it's just my hand just gets destroyed. But I've done all right with it.
We like to think of them as soft deadlines.
They're negotiable.
Yeah, hey, don't
They're-
worry. Everybody's a procrastinator.
There's
You're
some
not alone
fudge
on that.
room.
All right. Well, folks, today we've got a great show with this interview with Gray and Cory. We're going to be talking about their new comic, Bad Dad. And with me, as always, are my beautiful co-hosts.
Lucas Schmidt, and we've got with us today.
Elizabeth Peck.
And Julia Parobek.
Yeah, and Elizabeth, you're a graphics major, right? So
Yeah.
this should just appeal to you, right?
Yeah, definitely.
This is kick it.
I'm looking at it right now, and it's really nicely put together. I've never actually read it before, but I'm super interested in it now.
So let's get into the questions. So what was sort of the inspiration for this? I gave you guys a couple of questions earlier, but what made you want to branch out from what you had previously been doing? Because I know that, Gray, you've had Bad Dad listed on your Twitter profile for at least a little while now, I think. So it's been a work in process for some time, right?
Yes. I originally contacted an artist called Kiko to do some what's the word, draft designs for the characters. This is about 6 months ago. So it was just kind of an idea I was floating around in my head. So I just wanted some sketches to kind of solidify it. And then a friend of mine, Jack, who does Chimney Speak, which is a fantastic webcomic that people should read, managed to trick somebody into giving him some money so he could start up his own comic company. And he said, why don't you kind of mess with that idea till it gels with our universe, and then just bring it out on my site. And that's kind of how it got started.
Excellent. That's probably the best way, I would imagine. Doesn't Andy Chalk writes a comic on Bum Rush as well, right?
I don't believe so.
Or I might be thinking of a different person then. All right. So what are we going to be doing differently with Bad Dad? Can you give a synopsis for people who might not even know what it is? Because I know only the first issue's out right now, and the second issue, I believe, is coming soon, right?
Yes, comes out. Should be this week, if not tomorrow.
Excellent.
Bad Dad is about a career criminal who has his career ended quite suddenly and randomly by a car accident. He gets out of prison about a decade later to find out he has an illegitimate daughter who is also kind of moonlighting as a superhero. And events conspire to kind of push them together and push him to turn on his former comrades, and kind of, he doesn't become a good person per se, but he becomes a better person.
So are we going to see a sort of theme of self-redemption, or sort of a view on, I don't know, the gray area of people being able to change? What are we looking for in terms of broad strokes?
I don't want to go for something as obvious as kind of he has a child, and the child, our main character is called Jack, by the way. He has a child, and the child makes him good, which seems to turn up a lot in movies and other comics.
It's also getting more popular recently, like with The Last of Us. Like, it's themes that are kind of being played. So
a secondary character, yeah.
Yeah, so kind of
Joel. I think The Last of Us is a good comparison, actually. What I'm going for is he doesn't change. He doesn't become a better person. He learns to moderate what he is, and kind of he's a scheming, like one step ahead chess master kind of guy, and that's kind of an innate part of his personality. He just kind of puts that to a different end.
Excellent. So did the inspirational process, the first few stages of this, was there anything that sort of triggered it, or was it really just sort of a cool idea running around in your head? Or The Last of Us.
It was mostly just the idea, and then the title just kind of came. The whole Bad Dad kind of alliteration thing came in, and it just took off from that.
Cool. So with the broader approach to this storyline, we're obviously going to see story arcs, maybe even multiple, versus the week-to-week sort of style that has been inherent in Critical Miss, your other work on Escapist Magazine. How has the design process changed? I can imagine there's got to be leagues more collaboration between you and Cory, and possibly your publishers as well.
It took some adapting too, I think.
How's that?
Yeah.
To put it lightly.
There's just so much more to do, and like so much more on our plate. Like we've got into the rhythm with Critical Miss, where it's just like, all right, we need to get something out, we need to do that tonight, and it's just kind of like a night of just, he gives me some stuff to work on, I put it together, and then we get it out. But with this, it's become like a bit more of an ordeal, where we just have to be working constantly and getting things together, and then like a lot more planning, and then things kind of catch up to us, and there's a lot less planning. And
the first issue is very weirdly paced, because we kind of came into it with the same mindset that we use for CM, where we just kind of do like one page after another. And yeah, I guess you can't really do that in a long form comic, otherwise it comes off as quite schizophrenic and strange.
You had some exercise with the few Critical Miss arcs that you had, like the Link and the sort of the Aaron's headspace going on. Do you feel that really contributed to it, or sort of as a testing ground?
I think they suffer from the same problem, if I'm brutally honest. I go in with very vague story strokes of where I want to go, and then I kind of fill in the blanks as I go, and that's okay. I think that's okay, but not ideal for a comic like CM, where you're looking to make people laugh, twice a week. When you're looking to tell a story over 15 pages a month, you kind of have to have a lot more of a solid plan.
Yeah, and this we've definitely learned a lot recently with these ones. It's just, it's we're building up to being better artists ourselves.
I mean, as a collaborative duo, it's an entirely new ground for us. We've never really done anything finite like Bad Dad. So it's I think the second issue is so much better than the first because we picked up so many different things.
Yeah, so I think Elizabeth has a question for Art. Like, Elizabeth, you are a graphics major here at Ball State. You have more artistic talent probably than any person in this room.
Yeah, so I love the style of your art. Is that something that was maybe like inspired by the story, or is what was the inspiration for like how you drew everything?
Well, my style's been like very focused and influenced by webcomics, which is like kind of bad artistically. I think it's better to look elsewhere, because there's some nice looking webcomics, but there's like a lot of bad looking webcomics.
Mm-hmm.
And like I grew up on those way too much in like middle school and early high school.
Okay.
And so I've been looking more to like actual comics and manga and anime and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And just trying to broaden the strokes, I guess, with what I can do.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah, that was actually my next question, was like, where do you want to go in terms of art? Like, do you want to keep it in like that sort of webcomic style, or would you rather?
Yeah, because certainly long form comics, obviously many more like established franchises have multiple artists, but I've seen single artists sort of evolve as a comic goes on longer. We obviously don't know how long Bad Dad will go on yet. I'm sure you guys have an idea, but do you want to evolve in some fashion? Are you looking for a sort of incremental increase of your talent?
Well, I honestly, like, I think I don't know, I don't think it's that good to like your own art. I think you have to constantly see your art as being like lesser and like working towards something better.
Julia's pumping her fist here. She's like, she loves that.
Love that.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't want to stay the same, because like if you choose a style and you stick to a style that's like essentially the same thing as stagnation, like you can slowly become like more proficient at that one style, but I don't think you should. I think you just shouldn't. So like I'm looking to do various other art projects. Like I like comics, I'm working on video games, I'm working on like maybe looking at animation too, so like I definitely don't want to stick with this.
It's very much a webcomic thing, isn't it, too, that artistic stagnation.
Yeah, and so Bad Dad is obviously a step away from Critical Miss in the sense that, it's this long-term thing where Critical Miss was just kind of, like you guys said, like, oh, we got to do something tonight. Let's scrounge something up with all these ideas we have. Do you guys kind of prefer this over what you did with Critical Miss, where it was sort of these, like, little sections bit by bit, and maybe sometimes there was some connection, some arc between them, but a lot of times they weren't? Do you guys kind of like this idea more, this whole like long term, like over the span of several weeks?
It's a strange thing. In some ways, it's a lot more stressful in that the choices you're making now will affect the story you're telling, months, years down the line, even. Whereas with Critical Miss, if you throw out a dud page, and it does happen, it happens to us quite a lot. You can just go, well, that one was a bit crap. We'll do better with the next one. With a long form comic, there is kind of the temptation to leave everything quite open ended and vague, so you can do more with it in the future.
Right.
But I think that's kind of poisoned the storytelling. So it's quite a difficult balancing act there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Cory.
I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, it's so comfortable doing Critical Miss. Like, we've been doing it for like 4 years now. It's just like
Jeez.
every Wednesday and Sunday we get together, we just do a thing, and it's done, and it's over.
Or every
And now
Thursday
this
and
is
Monday.
just like work all the time, every time, forever time. So it's just different.
Yeah, I had a quick question. With my experience with webcomics that are ongoing, the creators usually tend to take the fan base's like their own headcanons and whatnot and implement them into the story or find things that not even the creators made. Have you guys ever had that happen or planned to have that happen?
I don't know. We don't really have like, especially with that Bad Dad. There's not like dedicated comment section that we're reading or aware of like we are with Critical Miss. Like, and it can be kind of bad to read the comments sometime. Like, criticism is good and it's nice to see that. But like, if you see people like saying, I don't know, with the arcs that we tried with Critical Miss, there was like, it's not good to see where people expect the next couple pages to go. Because then you feel like a need to change it and surprise them, or like, I don't know, if it's a little too much information, so it's better to just kind of get something out of the way, and that's something that we had a lot of problems with.
Do you feel like maybe that has dragged down Critical Miss a little bit? That dedicated comments section where you do subconsciously sort of adhere to either or sort of work against what people want to see. Do you think that's probably more beneficial for Bad Dad?
Yes, definitely. I think one of the major failings of the Critical Miss arcs is that we cut them. I had an idea of where the story was going, and I cut story elements like very harshly, purely because the response to the ongoing story was kind of vitriolic at the time. And then, funnily enough, when it ended, we got people saying, "Oh, when now the story elements are gone, I've lost interest."
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't, keep everyone happy.
That's the thing about listening to the fans is there are hundreds of thousands of different fans, and each one thinks they speak for the entirety of the fan base.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Can't please them all.
So, final question, guys. So, where do you feel like this comic is going to bring you artistically? I know we've kind of been asking these vague questions, but I think this is an important one because even something like Critical Miss, with all of its myriad problems and successes, has made you grow as artists. I certainly remember the first strip with "Oh my gosh, donuts." What kind of artistic growth are we thinking of as far as when we reach that inevitable end of Bad Dad?
I'd like to do something more serious, possibly. Like Bad Dad isn't a huge departure from Critical Miss in terms of tone. It's still the kind of the snarky outsider versus the world kind of setup. And a lot of the kind of the humor beats are similar. I'd maybe like to do something that isn't comedic or kind of, ironic in any way, and just do something very serious and very straightforward.
Absolutely. How about you, Cory?
I think it's simpler for me. Like, I don't got like arcs and stuff. I just want to be a better artist.
Or you don't have like
better.
Is somebody bowling?
So yeah, I was about to say. So yeah, I can see that. So you don't have like 1,000 ideas coming at you for every strip with Critical Miss, a new idea that you have to sort of create a brand new small world for. Is that right?
Is that directed towards me? Or
Sorry, towards Cory.
Oh, it is nice to like work with
A consistent
new
world.
things, like in new styles. It's definitely different, and it's one thing that I was like experimenting with vaguely with Critical Miss is like one of the nice things about doing jokes about video games is if you do a joke about a video game, sometimes you can take on like the some of the style of the art in the video game, and so like I've tried that a couple times. Was just I try and change up everything, but because there's like a lack of consistency, it's not really drilling form and like drilling the practice to do that style. So it's nice to have that with Bad Dad. And hopefully future projects.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that has been a great interview. So tell our fine viewers, where can they find you if they want to seek out Bad Dad and your work on Critical Miss?
They can find it on Bum Rush Comics, and I will just get the URL for that really quick.
Bumrushcomics.com.
I
That would
think
be a
it might
pretty
actually
simple
be
URL.
bumrushcomics.com.
Yep, bumrushcomics.com. Okay.
Then there's also Critical Miss on escapistmagazine.com. We're in the articles section, or you can find us at the bottom of the page. There's a little icon. And we update Tuesdays and Fridays.
And if you are going to pick up Bad Dad, it would be well worth picking up the Bum Rush anthology. That gets you The Adventures of Big Red, and Pyromania, and Red, which are all fantastic comics by other artists. It's a great deal for actually supporting artists. Most of the profits go directly to us. So
only $5, I believe, right? And you get like 5 free downloads.
It's only $5 compared to it would cost $10 to buy each of the comics individually.
Excellent.
And it's nice to. There's not a ton of money in online comics, so it's really good to support them. And there's some fantastic work, especially Adventures of Big Red, done by the guys who do Vibe Comic at vibecomic.com. And
they basically make us look terrible.
Yeah, there's just fantastic art coming out of them. They've got an inker and a colorist, and they've kind of talked. They've got a podcast where they kind of talk about some of the woes of doing the art or being in the art industry. And yeah, it's cool for them to have a project where they make a lot more money, where it's not going to editors and middlemen, which is kind of the point of the project, Bum Rush.
So you'd say Bum Rush has definitely been facilitating a more friendly artistic environment for you guys, right?
Yeah, more focused on the content creators. So it's very cool.
Well, we pretty much have free reign to do whatever we want.
That's awesome. That's always great to hear from
very
artists.
Interesting from an artistic perspective.
All right, guys. Well, that's been a great interview with Gray Carter and Cory Rydell of Bad Dad and Critical Miss on Escapist Magazine. You can find Bad Dad, like they said, at bumrushcomics.com. Gray, Cory, do you want to tell them as well where they can find you on Twitter?
After you.
Just at Cory_Rydell. I Twittered infrequently, but sometimes I go on a tangent.
And then find me under Gray the Tick. That's Tick.
Excellent, guys. All right, thank you so
Thanks
much.
for having us.
All right,
thank you for having us on.
And good luck on Bad Dad, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.